Hey guys, this is Iki Taquito with KFC again, coming back at you, and this time we're going to be doing fight predictions for the UFC event that's going to be happening tonight. The main event is Yoel Romero versus Luke Rockhold. The way I see this fight going is Yoel Romero is definitely going to have advantage in the wrestling, and guy he has a power advantage too. Most of his fights have ended by knockout. And he's only been stopped once in the UFC, and that's by the current champion since GSP beat Bisping for it, and then gave up the belt due to recovering for an injury. So we'll we'll see what happens as far as that goes. With the title situations and stuff like that. But the what was the interim belt holder is now the belt holder, and this one is an interim belt fight. And what's kind of interesting about that is what that means is if Yoel Romero beats Luke Rockhold, which I think he will do, that means he'll get to fight for the real belt, which will be against the same guy that just beat him in his last fight, Robert Whittaker. So I guess that will be a pretty soon rematch if he wins that fight. Then the co-main is Mark Hunt versus Curtis Blades. And Curtis, dude has some pretty decent wrestling. He likes to go ahead and take guys to the ground and then pound them out once he's got them there. So he likes going for some ground and pound. And Mark Hunt, dude is really he's a striker. That's it. So it's gonna be, can Mark Hunt go ahead and knock Curtis out before Curtis goes ahead and takes it to the ground and goes ahead and does what he does there. Mark Hunt doesn't like being on the ground. Now Curtis, he does hit pretty hard, but as far as stand up goes, his striking is kind of it's kind of wild. It's a lot of power, but it's kind of wild. Now he actually has some pretty decent leg kicks, which not a lot of people know, but his leg kicks are pretty decent. So I think he should use those and then go for a use those to set up a takedown. Would be my best bet for a key to victory. But he is my pick just because not only does he have power, but he has a different dynamic to the game, and that's a wrestling game, something Mark really doesn't have. Now he's been doing it for a long time, so his takedown defense doesn't suck, but I don't think it's as good as the takedown ability is of Curtis. So that's the reason I picked that fight for Curtis. Then we have Tai Tuivasa versus Cyril Asker. And again, it's basically a stand-up striker versus a guy, and this guy, I mean, he does it all around. He strikes and he submits people, and he does like taking it to the ground at some point and try to finish it either by a TKO or a submission. He's had a couple fights that have gone the distance. And Atatu Ibasa, he's 8-0. He's defended any takedown that anyone has tried to go at and do. But I'm going to pick Cyril Asker just because, the well-roundedness of him, I think is going to give him the edge. It definitely really pays dividends when you have more things that you can do. It's at heavyweight. If you're a striker at heavyweight, I don't really put a ton of stock into it just because at heavyweight, anyone should be able to knock out anyone. So, yeah, you're a striker. Sure, you might have decent technique, but anyone can land, and at that kind of weight, it's easy to go ahead and put somebody out. So, I don't put a lot of stock in just pure strikers, um, especially at heavyweight. Then we have Jake Matthews versus Li Jiangling. And in that fight, my pick in this one is actually the first one I have for an Australian in this fight, and that is I got Jake Matthews. I just feel like the wrestling in Jake's game, he'll be able to go ahead and keep the submission game away from Lee, as well as he's got a pretty decent submission game himself. So I think he's just going to be able to control the fight more, to either work out some ground and pound or submission, or be able to control it to a decision. So my fight pick is for Jake in this fight. Then the next one is Tyson Pedro versus Saparbek Safarov. Probably butchered the heck out of his name, but hey, it happens. And this one is the second fight I actually got for an Australian, and that's I just think that he's gonna wind up being able to go ahead. He's got pretty decent striking, and he does usually finish his fights by submission. But his striking is no slouch. He lands pretty often. He's a pretty accurate striker, as far as pretty active striker. So not nowhere near the volume that Southwark does. Especially at light heavyweight, the amount that he throws is pretty high, but he has like almost no accuracy though. He's just swinging, but he does it in abundance. So I'm gonna go with the ranked fighter in Tyson. Then we have Damian Brown versus Dong Hyun Kim, and in this one, again, I am picking against the Australian, and I'm going to go with the South Korean, Dong Hyun Kim. Both guys, they've been in the game for a long time. Both guys are well-rounded, but I just feel like overall, skill-wise, Dong Hyun Kim is just the better fighter. Pure and simple on that. That's just what I think. He's better. Plus, when you got guys that are pretty even, any advantage, does, even if it's slight, does play an effect. Dong Hyun Kim, he's 1 inch taller and he has a 2 inch reach advantage. Then we have Rob Wilkinson versus Israel Adesanya. And in that fight, even though I don't really like going with strikers, I'm going to go with Israel. I think he's going to go ahead and I think he's going to retain his O. I think he's going to continue to be unbeaten. And I think he's going to go ahead. He's going to throw a lot of strikes, and it's going to be fluid. It's going to be accurate, and I think he's going to outclass Rob on the feet. Then we have Alexander Volkanovski versus Jeremy Kennedy. And again, I think, in this fight, Alexander, he's a great veteran. Dude's 16-1. So it's a lot of fights to really only have one loss. So he's not only is he a veteran, he's a proven veteran. He's proved that, he's legit. He's got real skill. And pretty much everyone that comes near him, they fell. Jeremy Kennedy, he's 11-0. Just like Israel Adesanya was, he was 11-0 as well. I think Jeremy Kennedy is a better fighter than Israel was, but there's a big weight class difference between those two. But skill wise, I think Jeremy Kennedy is a better fighter. So I think the Canadian, I think he's going to keep his O, and he's going to go to 12-0, and he's going to beat the Australian. Then we have Husier Formiga versus Ben Nguyen. I probably butchered his name, but hey, it happens. I make no apologies for butchering names, because they're gonna happen. Especially with, foreign names. Well, foreign for me, USA. So, which, granted, Ben, he's from the United States as well, but, his last name would be more towards his ancestry. And that's what I mean by foreign. And I'm going to pick my home country dude. I'm going to pick Ben in this fight. Husier Formiga, I mean, both of these guys have been battle tested. Both of these guys are good. But I'm gonna go with Ben. I just feel like he's more well-rounded. Formiga, I don't think he has a really too good striking. I mean, it's decent. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the dude's not a slouch anywhere. But Ben, he's good everywhere. Then we have Ross Pearson versus Mizuto Hirata. And in this fight, I'm gonna go with the Japan fighter. And this fight, it will probably wind up going the distance. So I got Hirata by decision in that fight. Ross, I think he could take the fight to the ground if he wanted to, but he likes to strike, and that's going to be his downfall in this fight. I think Hirata has. I think he has better striking, so that's why I'm picking him. Then we have Teruto Ishihara versus Jose, where I'm not even going to attempt that last name. And again, I'm going to go with a Japanese fighter. I think the experience that he has over Jose is going to be the difference maker in this fight. He's seen more of the things that Jose is going to go ahead and be able to try and do. I think he's going to be able to go ahead and stop the takedowns of Jose, and he definitely has an advantage on the feet. Then we have Luke Jumo versus Daichi Abe. This time the O is gonna go. Daichi, he's gonna go ahead and lose. I'm gonna pick Luke. He's a bigger, stronger guy. Not bigger in height, but bigger in physique. He's more broad, and he's more well-rounded. So he has more keys to victory here. Plus, anyone that's given props to some Star Wars, like his nickname, the Jedi, hey, you gotta respect that. You gotta pick that. So, going with Luke all the way in this fight. Thank you.